I'm going. Well,
there we go. All right, yay. So I'm super happy that all of you guys could make it to the very first webinar of the 2017 school year. I'm really excited to hear a little bit more about, what you guys have been working on this past semester, or the start of the semester, and where you guys are going. So with that being said, I want to introduce ourselves because I know we've got a couple new faces on board. So my name's Adele Switzer. I began the Move and Exchange journey back at Florida State University in 2014, then transitioned to Panama Fellow this past year to 2016, 2017. So some of you know me from that, which is super awesome. And then this coming year, I'll be transitioning into the program director position for Move and Exchange. So super excited to keep having Move and Exchange in my life. It's always a fun time. Yeah.
Cool. I'm Isabella. I am an alumni of Western Michigan University. I was there the year it started, so I got to go on an exchange when I was in college there. And then I graduated and I moved to Chicago and pursued dance in Chicago
that's
for a year.
why I was like.
And I've been living here in Panama for a month now, and I am the new Panama Fellow.
There you have it.
I wonder if there was.
So today, for this lovely webinar, I think somebody does somebody have a lot of background noise?
Yeah, that's what I'm confused about. I feel like I'm hearing a conversation or something.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, maybe we should all go on mute unless we're talking.
Yeah, maybe if everybody could hit their mute button, that would be super awesome. Almost there. That already sounds better. Great,
Cool.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, so I want to use this webinar to, especially because we have so many awesome people on this webinar, I want to use this opportunity for you guys to talk a little bit about what's going on in your worlds right now and any questions that you guys have, just to give you guys the chance to kind of collaborate a little bit and talk about, the start of your semester, what you might need from us. There we go. And what your goals are. So I think one of the things that was really beneficial for some of you guys who may have attended, did anybody here attend the leadership conference? Jamie did.
Jamie did. Nikki did.
And Nikki, cool. Okay.
So she should be getting on here soon.
Cool. Okay. Awesome. And yeah, so one of the things that I felt was really beneficial at that conference was just having that space for everybody to collaborate and communicate, because yeah, we might have a lot of advice for you guys, but at the same time, there's so much that you guys can learn from each other and what you guys are doing, because every university is different. What might work at IU might not work at Cornell, or what's working at UCI might not work at UCSD. But there's always some way that we can kind of hear ideas and see if it's something that will spark something in our own campus. So I want to go one by one with each of you guys to introduce yourselves, say your name, the university that you're at, and your position. And I want you to talk a little bit about the start of your semester. What has been the best thing the start of your semester, and what's been the hardest thing? Just so we can hear some ideas, anything that maybe you made a different change this past summer and something's been going really well, or you're still struggling with the same thing over and over. And then if anybody has any advice or questions, we can kind of open up the space for that. Yeah? Angie, let's start with you, because you're in my far left corner.
Hi, I'm Angie. I am one of the co-presidents for the chapter at Indiana University in Bloomington. I've been with Movement Exchange. This is my 5th year. I've done 2 of the Panama exchanges. Best thing so far, well, this is kind of hard because we've only just today, we only had our 2nd meeting. So last week, I guess, would be the best thing so far, was that we had a really good turnout for our call-out meeting. We got a whole bunch of new people that had not come before. A lot of them, most of them were freshmen, but I'm really excited to bring in new people because for the past few years, recruitment for new people hasn't really been that fantastic other than like dance majors, which I'm kind of like forcing them to be friends with me. So, and we're currently just trying to figure out all of our crazy schedules and who has cars and who doesn't, and who needs to be at which workshops on which days with people who have cars. So that's what we're doing right now.
Cool.
And I think, we are hosting the Midwest area for Move to Change Day, October 21st. We just heard back from Western Michigan that they want to come over.
Ooh, nice. That's so exciting.
Either Butler or UC has already contacted us and said that, I think it was UC, that just with their rehearsal schedules, they don't think that they can make it because...
Was that you guys, Erin?
Yeah, that was us. We have rehearsals all day that Saturday.
Yep. That's okay, because we just found out that me and Emma DeLillo and Megan, who are our other officers and secretaries, we all just got cast in a rep piece, and that is busy from 10 to 6. So on Move to Change Day, of course, but we'll have other members doing stuff with you guys for Move to Change Day. Awesome. So I think that's just going to be the hardest thing this semester, is just like trying to organize that, because half of our exec team won't be there on that actual day.
Mm-hmm.
So just like kind of organizing it for other people to go to, and then collaborating with all these people who are coming in from different states. So
yeah, that's really exciting though. I have a question for you that I think might be on a lot of people's minds. So you said that you guys had a really great turnout for your first call out meeting. What did you guys do specifically to get so many new people at least hearing about Movement Exchange and like wanting to go to this first meeting?
Our biggest event, I think the biggest event of like the first month of school at IU is the Student Involvement Fair.
Yeah.
It literally takes up the entire, it could probably fit like at least 2 baseball diamonds, like maybe not the actual green grass behind the baseball diamond, but it can probably fit 2 of those like sand diamonds there, completely filled with every single organization on campus possible that wants to sign up for that event. And it's like a 4-hour event all day. People just stand by their trifolds, and they have like flyers to hand out. We have a sign up sheet of, if you want more information, put your name and your email, and we'll email you later. That's our biggest thing, because that event is very well promoted to all of the freshmen. So mostly it is freshmen who are going, because it's like the second Monday of school. So it's after they figured out their classes and stuff, but now they're like, okay, now I'm here. What things can I get involved in besides my classes?
Yeah.
And we really just try to, to recruit people to come see our station. Like if I see someone I know, I just yell at them, because that's who I am. And I'm like, Emily, come here. So that's what I do. Because I do know a lot of dancers on campus, but then, you know, if I know someone, but then that person's hanging out with people I don't know, but maybe if one of them is a dancer, maybe others are interested in it too. Stuff like that.
Exactly.
So I just kind of bring in people. We usually kind of have that hook question of people who are passing by, like, do you like to dance? And they're like, either yes or I'm not good at it. And we're like, that's okay.
Yeah.
We're trying to we really try to promote the fact that you do not have to be a dancer or a professional dancer or a dance major in order to be in movement exchange. We really try to promote that. So we're usually like, do you like to dance? And they're like, yes. Do you like kids? Yes. And then we're like, perfect. Because that's pretty much exactly two of the things that we love to do. We do kids.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that that's a lot of it.
Yeah, definitely creating that messaging that feels open and inviting to so many different people, whether they are a dance major. Yeah, all dance majors love to dance, or else you wouldn't be doing it. But also there's so many people on campus who love to dance because maybe they grew up dancing, but maybe they're not dance majors. And then another side is, maybe there's people who have always wanted to dance but never really had the opportunity. So there's so many different angles that you can come at it at. And definitely being aware of that messaging and making it specific. If you're talking to a group of dance majors, maybe you talk about it a little differently than if you were in like a Spanish class or something.
And we also really try to promote, just with that movement, the involvement fair, the fact that if you like to travel, we offer our opportunity to go to Panama, because we really do need to start working on that recruitment and organization like as soon as possible, because our deposit is due in 2 weeks already. So we really try to just kind of pull people in with, ooh, I want to go to Panama and dance. And then, you're with us for the semester while you're learning about your trip to Panama. You might as well get more into it than just the Panama trip.
Exactly. Awesome. Cool. Does anybody have any questions for Angie about anything that she's doing at IU? No? Cool. Well, I think it's a good example of like how you can use that involvement fair to your advantage. And maybe if you guys, I think a lot of people probably tried to go to their involvement fair, but if you didn't get to go this fall semester, definitely try to go spring semester, because that's
definitely like I kind of spam people. I don't spam people all that often, but like for our call-out event, for our call-out meeting, I mean, we put in all of our people that were on the sign-in sheet from the involvement fair, but then I also just copy and pasted all of the dance majors, and then I'm in another dance company group, and I just copy pasted all of them too. Because I'm like,
so
I know that they didn't get to go to the involvement fair because we had a rehearsal, so I know they didn't get to go. But I know that they're dancers. They might be interested. And at the call-out meeting, I asked like 3 of the freshman dance majors. I was like, hey, how did you guys hear about this? And they said, your email.
Exactly. It's perfect. Yeah, absolutely. So utilizing that network is really powerful.
And always put up flyers, because like at the dance studio, even if you're not talking to everyone, people are just staring at the walls for the 10 minutes before their class is allowed to get inside the studio anyway. You might as well put something up there.
Absolutely. Cool. That's a really great suggestion as well. Let's go ahead with Erin from Butler. I just introduced yourself for you.
Hi, I'm Erin. I go to Butler. I'm the president of our chapter.
I'm Lila. I obviously also go to Butler, and I'm the vice president.
I'm one of the people that's participating in the joint exchange this December. So we attended our student involvement fair, and we had like a pretty good turnout from like at our call out meeting from people that were interested in it from the involvement fair. We had like a much larger number of people that were not dance majors than ever before, which was exciting. But we only retained like 2 of them at our second meeting. So that was kind of disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
And I really tried to like, I don't know, at the involvement fair, a lot of people were interested. I think the big like draw that people were like, oh, maybe we'll actually do this, was that we had like a part of it that said no dance experience necessary. Because I think a lot of, like in the past, a lot of people have been scared off by like dance club. But we've had like a pretty good turnout of like upperclassmen starting to join, which is cool, because in the past it's usually just been freshmen joining. So I'm happy to see some more like upperclassmen joining. We have rehearsals, so we aren't able to do the joint Move to Change Day, but we're working, that's actually also our homecoming, and we're working on being able to do a flash mob on campus.
Cool.
But we have not heard back yet if we're allowed to, so. Was there other things I was supposed to say?
No, just one good thing and one thing that you're like, I don't know. I want to open up the table a little bit for anybody who might have suggestions on like membership retention. Go ahead and unmute yourself and chat if you have any ideas. Anything?
Honestly, with retention, we don't have the numbers that retain, but when the people who do retain are like 100% committed to it, 100% willing to do everything, because that's why we end up having like 8 different officer positions, just because we're like, we kind of feel like they have a higher up role in the club, even though they're not like president or vice president or secretary, but they are willing to take on a lot more things. I think the Panama trip and just getting people to go to either Panama and or your local workshops and things really helps it set in, because for us, if you're only going to our meetings, which are discussions about planning and about the workshops, but you're not actually going to the workshops, it doesn't really sink in like the meaning of it and how it feels to be a part of it. It's just like you guys are talking about this thing that I didn't go to.
Yeah.
So I think just really encouraging people to go into the workshops or just go to one of the events if they don't want to do the weekly commitment, even if they just want to do it once just to see what you guys are doing. It really helps to get that visual image of what's actually happening.
Yeah, I think a big part of like membership retention is exactly what NGU is saying, is like, you know, making sure that people have like a really specific entry point into feeling like they're a part of the organization. So whether that is, you know, of course, getting to somebody to commit to, you know, the exchange to Panama right away is hard. But once you have them committed and once they feel like they're a part of something, it becomes obviously a lot easier for them to stay a part of it. And whether that means, you know, maybe they help you plan that flash mob that you're talking about, or maybe, you know, you have people do like a brainstorm of like, okay, what type of move to change day event can we hold? So that they feel like they're a part of the process. And also one thing that I'm going to touch on a little bit later is that idea of like delegation, right? So maybe if one of your general body members has an idea of like, oh, maybe we could do this. And you're like, great, Sharon, I'm going to work with you, Sharon. That's a great name. And, you know, making them feel like they're making a difference and they're truly impacting the work that you guys are doing.
I have another idea. So, like specifically Butler, you guys talked about how you had a lot of non-dance majors but didn't retain that many dance majors. Well, as we all know, dancers are intimidating individuals most of the time. So I think like a good idea is to have the meetings in a more neutral space. So in a place that's not the dance department, even though that's so convenient for everybody and it's like really hard to get out of there, like it, you know, already makes someone feel uncomfortable to walk into a building that everybody looks the same, everybody's dressed the same, everybody knows each other. Yeah. Like it's a building that they're not used to. So trying to have the meetings in a more neutral space, and then at your initial call-up meeting, when you see so many like unfamiliar faces, but it's the beginning of the year, so you're like, you see your friends and you're talking to your friends, and like I would say just like encourage your current members to go and talk to the, you know, the non-dance majors and be like, oh, hey, like, what's up? I've never seen you before. Yeah. What's your name? Why did you come? Like, oh, you know, like make it a point to ask them like, why did you come? Mm-hmm. Oh, that's so cool, whatever. And like, you know, kind of what Adele was talking about is like these individuals do have connections that none of us have as dancers. Like maybe that person who came is, you know, a nonprofit minor or in the Spanish club or whatever. So it's not like even giving them the illusion of like them contributing, it's like if you genuinely get to know them, you can really, really learn how they can benefit movement exchange. And then another thing that you can do just to get people emotional is on our YouTube page, because like emotions are what get people to stay and come back. And everybody who's been on exchange, it's like we can be like, oh, it's so great. Oh my gosh, it was so great. But we have some really awesome promotional videos on our Movement Exchange's YouTube page. That's like, they're super short and like highly like emotionally charged. I'll be sending you guys the links to that in an email next week. But I highly recommend showing these videos to new people so that they can have an emotional experience at that meeting, which will make them more likely to return.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, Hillary, you're up.
Hi. So I'm Hillary. I'm president of the Cornell Movement Exchange. The beginning of this semester has definitely been a whirlwind. So we're like brand new. So the great thing is our board member, there's 4 of us, has been like super committed and like getting things done. We like got to our fair and everything. So we're like setting up, we're working on getting our local outreach set up on our Move to Change Day, and a couple workshops. But the hard thing has been that we don't really like know if we can actually do all the stuff that we're planning on doing, because we don't, our call-out meeting is tomorrow, so we like don't really know how many people we're actually going to have interested or committed yet. So it's been a little tough to like plan. Yeah.
You said your general body meeting's tomorrow? Your call out. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So we got a lot of people interested at the involvement fair, but it's just like hard to know how many people are actually going to show up.
Exactly. And then of course it's kind of that same thing that Butler was just talking about, like that membership attention too. So once you have those emails, you send the emails, and like Angie did, you bombard them a little bit. And then they get, or maybe a lot if you're feeling it. And then they, maybe they come to the meeting, and then that's a whole other can of worms as to, how you actually keep them coming.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of the suggestions we already said apply here as well. Yeah. And on top of that, making sure, and this goes for everyone, as you guys are kind of like getting into the flow of your chapter and setting goals for yourselves, make sure you guys are setting really realistic goals. And of course, that always depends on how much manpower you have, right? Because, one person can't do it all, 2 people can't do it all, 4 people can't even do it all. And it totally depends on like how many people you're gonna have. So a really great way, I think, is, shoot as far as you can without like knowing that you're going too far to start, because you always want to provide that like entry point for people. And definitely I would try, exactly what Bella said, using those videos to kind of draw people in. Yeah, absolutely. Does Angie, you got a suggestion?
Oh, you're muted.
You're muted. We can't hear you.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello.
Okay, sorry, I'm just gonna butt in again. I was just thinking that because you guys are so new, and I'm like very excited for you guys, but best of luck tomorrow. And I was just thinking, because you guys have so many like ideas and goals, that things that you want to do, and I mean, I guess obviously you'll have a way better idea of your numbers tomorrow, but just to, if you start out with smaller numbers, start out with smaller projects or fewer projects, because you don't want to end up saying, hey, we have 6 events, but we still only have 4 people, and then it's just too much work to happen with all of them, but I would still suggest to get started with something to get people motivated to have that retention to come back and, oh, there is an event on this Friday already. So that they get excited about it and that they do get more motivated to come back. And just that, be careful not to like start off too slow, if that makes sense, because I think that sometimes when organizations start off too slow and it takes like 6 weeks in order for the first workshop to happen or whatever, then it just gets a little, you get bored, you lose your interest because, oh, we still haven't gone yet, and the semester's half over. So just to like get it started. So what we did after our call-out meeting was we sent out a survey of asking people's availability on what days would people be interested in going to what place, so that we can already start scheduling, because we want to have as many workshops as we can anyway. So just to like go ahead and get something, but don't like overbook yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, and that always goes back to, you know, setting those goals. What's gonna be your priority? What's your kind of number one focus, and start planning for that. And then as you get more people involved, as you kind of figure out what is possible on your campus, from there you can start to kind of grow and build. But you always have to start with that momentum. Otherwise you're not gonna get anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other suggestions? Any, like, I don't know, anybody have any suggestions in general about that new chapter process?
We just had our first like call out meeting, I guess. We actually had 2 because we thought it's like back to school and everyone's going to like a million info sessions for like every single organization. And one thing that we tried to emphasize was that like this is not an organization that's only for dancers, because we felt like when we showed some of the videos, and we showed like videos of like other people's exchanges and stuff, we were like, wow, these might be really intimidating to people watching, like, oh my god, I have to teach dance, like I've never even danced before. So we tried to make it very clear that like there's a way for non-dancers to also be involved, and like we were kind of like, you know, everyone is a dancer. Like if you've like danced in your bedroom, like we consider you a dancer, you know. And then we also emphasized that, because I felt like the call-out meeting it's a lot of like throwing information at people, and so because, you know, we want them to like know what movement exchange is. We don't just want them to like jump right in. We want to explain like what we're about and stuff. And we also like emphasize that like in the future our meetings are going to be more like collaborative, and it's not going to be like when you go to a organization meeting and you're being like told what to do the whole time. Like we're going to be, you know, brainstorming fundraising ideas and like working on curriculum for our local outreach projects. We tried to make it seem like you're going to want to come to our meetings, it's not going to be an obligation. So that's something we tried to emphasize.
Yeah, that's an awesome idea. It's just like really making sure that the meetings that you guys are having throughout the year, it's like, it's important that people come, especially if, you know, you're using email a lot and you're using your Facebook a lot to communicate. It's almost like, what's the point of going to a meeting? But having those times to, you know, be a part of something and to contribute to something is really, really powerful. Yeah, that's a great suggestion, Taylor. Yay. Anyone else? Can I mention something? Cool. Okay. Jamie. You're so muted. Unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So I'm Jamie. I'm from the George Mason chapter. I'm president. We had a really good turnout to our call-out meeting also. Kind of did a lot of things that we talked about. Like I had emailed Adele a while ago and asked for those promotional videos that like we actually had a girl that started tearing up in our meeting, which was like really interesting. But we had something different is that we had at my school, we have a thing called an RSO summit. So it's like all the registered student organizations. So like leaders have like a big 9-hour event on a Saturday. And they split us up into like types of organizations, so like Greek life or whatever, and there was like special interests and service. So I was debating, like, do I go to special interests or service? And I ended up going to service, which is really interesting because there were only like 7 or 8 other service no, maybe more. Maybe like 10 or 12 other service organizations on my campus, or at least that I'd chosen to go. But we talked about a lot of collaborations this year, which is awesome. So that's going to be really cool. And then also, what else do I have to say? Move to Change Day. Oh, you guys will appreciate this. So if anyone else was at the leadership conference, so Move to Change Day is on a Saturday, and a lot of us have rehearsals. But we thought of a way to kind of combine that. Is one of our teachers in our program is part of a company called Company E. So if you weren't at the leadership conference, they're a professional dance company that they also brand themselves as dance diplomats. They do service work, all that kind of stuff. And we're thinking of trying to collaborate with them for Move to Change Day, since it is on a Saturday and there won't be a lot of things on campus. Yeah? So I talked to, so like, even if it's not necessarily like campus related, we might do something at their studio, which would be different with like all their kids because it is on a Saturday and a lot of people aren't on campus. So I don't know if that's like an idea for anyone, if you like already teach at certain places or something, to go there instead of having them come to you. Could be a way to get around that Saturday date. What else do I have to say?
You have to say like one thing that's been going great and one thing that's been a little rough.
So the rough thing is our like student involvement fair was rained out. And they haven't given us a rain date yet, which is great. But I guess that's a onion. And then some apples is like, so also at our meeting, going back to what someone said earlier about how like, oh, you don't have to be a dancer. This is specific to our exchange. We just went over the summer, but we did like the Cotton Eye Joe with the kids. And like something that we say is like, if you bob your head in the car, you can do it. If you're a little kid and you play Coke and Pepsi, you can do Moon Exchange. If you like, we have all those like typical games that we say like that anyone can do. So for instance, Cotton Eye Joe, everyone learns how to do that when they're a little kid. And we use that at the RSO Summit and our call-out meeting, a little video of that. And like everyone was like, whoa, like I thought you guys actually dance. And we're like, well, we do, but we also do other things. So like having proof of that is kind of like put your money where your mouth is, if that makes sense.
Nice. Yeah. Just being able to show that, like everybody thinks, oh, like can I really do this if I'm not a dancer? And that's actually, for those of you who've been on an exchange, that's something that we talk about a little bit, is like, what is a dancer? Because it is such an arbitrary term, and being able to show that hand on hand is like, you don't have to be able to kick your ear with your leg to come on this exchange. So that's really awesome. Cool. Oh yeah, and then your onion, your rough involvement fair being canceled out. Do you guys have any other like recruitment methods that you're working on?
So we booked in our like student center. It's like the middle of campus. There's like the food court, all that stuff. They have like kiosks that you can rent out. So we already booked for Monday, Wednesday, Friday of next week to have like a 2-hour kiosk slot.
Cool.
That it's like the same thing as if you have like a table at a fair. But the fair will be rescheduled. So that'll happen eventually, but we don't know when. But for now we were like, all right, well, we don't want to wait for that. So we booked the kiosk and we're just going to have our own table for like 3 days next week.
Heck yeah. That sounds great. Yeah, I know if any of you guys, like, this is something that you can always do in addition of the involvement fair. Like if there's another place on campus, whether it's your student center or like a big green area, if there's a way to like set up a table or even just hand out flyers there, it's a really great way to kind of spread the word. Does anybody else have any like kind of interesting, different
alternate recruitment methods
that have worked?
that have worked. We don't want the ones that don't work.
You could tell us the ones that don't work
Yeah.
too, and then
It's like, don't do it.
we could tell you that was dumb.
You can tell me if this is dumb, but we always reach out to people who have like been interested in the past or like come to our call-out meeting last year. So what I'm gonna do is have like everyone who's gonna be on exec board or like everyone who's gonna be involved with us before our call-out meeting, like contact 2 people who they know have like mentioned it to them, because everyone comes back and someone's like, that looked really fun, what was it? So I've actually gotten a few people who have like told me like, I really want to do this next year. So when school starts, I'm like, hi, it's that time. And a few of them actually like ended up coming on the exchange. So like, I'm a big fan of like personally messaging people, even if they have just said something to me once, because then maybe they'll be like, oh yeah, you're right. Like, I like that you reached out, and then they show up.
Yeah, I think building that personal connection is really, really powerful, because you can be like, hey, Bella, I know your name. I know that you love to dance. I think you would be really great for this, right? So it builds, I know.
Do you really?
My heart is warm. Yes, you can do it. Yeah.
I'll be there. Also, it's like more like kind of like not like an obligation, but it's like when it's just like an email that's sent to 100 people, it's like there's no one like holding you accountable for whether you show up or not, whether you respond or not. But it's like if I'm sending you a personal Facebook message, it's like you kind of feel a little obligated to at least respond. And then once you respond, you feel a little obligated more to like show up. And then then it's not like, oh yeah, like I saw that email and I did nothing about it, you know? So like the more personal connection makes people more accountable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And then one other thing you said about just like utilizing your connections that you have. One thing that you guys can do is say, how many, you've got 2 to 5 people on your executive board. If everybody invites 2 to 5 other people to that involvement fair, they have that personal connection that we were just talking about that works. And you're reaching out, right? So if we can all kind of utilize our own personal connections in some way, and like you were saying before, is like if you get non-dance majors involved, they have totally different connections than dance majors. Or if you are a dance major and maybe your chapter is like mostly composed of dance majors, which is also awesome. Maybe somebody's in a piece with a freshman who might not have heard about it. So make use of those connections that you guys have, and even like get your current members to bring 2 people to the meeting, or even 1. Yeah.
Can I interrupt?
Yeah, Jamie, it's all you.
I also have like a really good example of that. One of our actual strongest members is a non-dance major. Pretty much everyone else is a dance major, Rebecca.
Yeah.
And we use her, not use her, but it actually works. But it works out very well because, for instance, like our student involvement fair, you have to be there at 10 to set up. And all of us have class from 9 to 12 as a dance major. So she's the one that goes and sets up and does everything. And then while she's there on her own, it's not like it's a big crowd of dance majors like hovering around the table. That's like Bella was saying, like that's intimidating and scary. Like having 1 or 2 people, at least for the start of it, we found works really well in the past. Because it's like more approachable, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And
then like once people are interested, there's like more people end up showing up.
Exactly.
I'm gonna say another thing. Sorry.
Go for it.
I've done it a couple times, but like because I live in the dance studio, but the dance studio doesn't have only dance major classes in it. There's like a lot of elective classes that happen in it. And I do happen to know a lot of the time at least one person that's in the class, or I've taken the class from that teacher before, so then I'll ask the teacher, hey, can I make a brief announcement? And a lot of the time, I think people who are taking like dance electives or just dance minors are drawn to it just because it is another opportunity to have dance in your life, but they don't feel like oh, I'm not allowed to be in it because I'm not a dance major. Because I don't particularly say, hi, I'm Angie, I'm a dance major and I'm in this. I just talk about movement exchange. And I like to bring it up to classes that aren't only dance majors, especially ones that are mostly not dance majors, because then they feel a lot more invited to it than Okay, sorry, my dog is like chewing on a toy, but it's like dragging my rug out the room. Phoebe, stop it! Yeah, stop!
Yeah, I'm talking to you.
Yeah, no, I mean, making use of that non-dance major classes and electives is a really great way for, you know, them to see your face and make sure, like, when you go to those meetings, maybe you talk to people after class and say, hey, you know, you raised your hand for this, you know, we'd really, really love to see you at the meeting. Make sure you get all of their contact information, maybe like their phone number or something, so you can like text them and be like, hey, like it was so nice meeting you when I went into that dance class. I really hope you're able to make it to this meeting or something. I don't know. You can call them and be really creepy. Don't do that. I won't do that. But yeah, so making sure that you're getting that contact information if you go into those non-major dance classes, because that is a really good, like Angie was saying, it's a really good entry point for, you know, non-dance majors to make dance more a part of their life. Yeah. Thanks, Jamie and Angie and everyone, and Ray and everyone who gave their thoughts. Jane, it's all you.
Okay, can you hear me?
It is really quiet.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So, yeah, I'm Jane. I'm part of the UCSD Movement Exchange chapter. I'm a dance major. I joined this past year. We've been trying to find ways to just try to develop like more of a set curriculum planner, so that way we could really like have like maybe weekly workshops. Also find like creative ways to recruit members. So yeah, listening to everyone, I was thinking like, I think we're actually like new members and we're all like mixed into like these programs, and I became the internal director, so I'm like finding ways to kind of like think about all these recruitment ideas. And I'm just thinking about like really what is the way in order to attract more people that I think would be helpful, because yeah, retention is always like a problem. And but so far we're fine. We're actually starting until like the 25th. So
oh yeah, because you guys start really late as well. Yeah.
But we have some ideas so far. There is a Celebrate the Arts Week coming up.
Yeah.
As we come back, and we're actually planning for that. So there's going to be like, from what I read in the form, is they have like these suggestions of like not only promoting it with like flyers, the Movement Exchange chapter, but also like an installation, like a sort of exhibition. So that would, I think that that's like an interesting suggestion.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's mainly just like thinking about all those areas in general right now.
Yeah, and seeing, you know, where you can focus. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think you guys are, especially, you know, if you haven't even started school yet, if you guys have like a really, you know, set plan for starting that recruitment, and if you guys can collaborate a little bit before you get back to campus, maybe it's just a couple of days before school technically starts, but at least you can kind of plan and say, you know, hey, you know, this is what we can do, and this is what our priorities are going to be, and this is how we're going to do it.
It's just funny because you're drinking.
Yeah. And so you were saying that you guys are like a really interesting mix, and I noticed this with UCSD as well last year, is like you guys are all different majors all over the place. which is so cool. And I'm happy to hear that you're a dance major, because I thought it was all just non-dance majors. So I'm glad to hear that it kind of found its way into the dance department. But can you maybe talk a little bit about that dynamic and maybe like what unites you guys, even though, you know, you have so many different things going on?
I would say what I feel like unites us the most is that we all have like the common interest of just like either we have dance as like a sort of passion or we have it as a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we also like enjoy like watching it. So I feel like in that aspect, especially because we started doing more of like the community service program.
Mm-hmm.
It's like related to like the Center for Children, so it's like with these like trauma children. So I feel like the fact by like that we're combining it not only like with movement, but also like appealing to like the common like good is like what's helping us like feel united.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of what builds that connection between dance diplomats is that everybody kind of has this like underdriving passion for dance, no matter what capacity it's like currently in your life or has been in your life or will be in your life. But everybody kind of has that passion and drive for movement. And one thing that that I think works in terms of like leadership skills and which will ultimately help you with recruitment for everyone is just remembering to speak from your heart, right? If you speak passionately about this program, if you speak passionately about dance, other people are going to feel that passion and want to be a part of it. I think that's what got me for sure is like I had a first call with freaking Kimberly Lucht, and she's like filled with passion. And you know, when somebody's so passionate about a movement like this, it kind of gets you excited. You're like, yeah, I want to be a part of this. And if you can find that kind of connector of like, we all love to dance, and how do you keep that passion driving throughout the year is something that's really powerful, especially as the semester goes on. I'm sure all of you guys know that as the semester progresses, everyone kind of gets, you know, bogged down with schoolwork or stressed out. But how do we keep that energy and that passion going to keep propelling us forward? Yeah. Yay. Thanks, Jane. Nikki.
Hi, I'm Nikki. Oh.
Let's see.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Nikki. I'm from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. I'm the president this year, and we actually just had our first day of our involvement fair today. It was from 5 to 8, so we just got done like an hour ago. This year we were in the service section of the involvement fair. Last year we were in like the fine arts section. So it was a little different this year just because we saw maybe like 2 dancers that we like knew of, which last year we just like mostly knew everyone that was walking by. So we actually got like a list of 50 people just from today, which was really awesome. Like ran out of flyers. So that was a cool like thing to experience. And then we have it tomorrow too for another 3 hours, so it'll be exciting just to like see how many people we can get on our list. And then we have our first call out meeting next Tuesday, so it'll be exciting to see how many of those people that we like get on the list to get to come to the first meeting. So I think that's one of our like biggest like cool exciting things that is happening right now is like being in the service category and like getting all those different people that aren't just dance majors like at least initially interested, and if we can get them to come to the first meeting, that would be a big step. One of our biggest challenges, I think, going into the start of the year is that the outreach that we had for the past 2 years fell through this year. So we don't have that like steady like support going into the year. We're trying to find a new outreach. We've emailed a bunch of different people and called people, and we're not really getting any good responses, which has been a little frustrating as we start the school year. But we found a new one today that will hopefully work. So we're excited to pursue that, but it's just been a struggle with that so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's always hard when like something that you thought was stable kind of falls through, especially at the beginning of the year. But one thing that I encourage with any situation is this. I think one of the webinars or some presentation that I did one time was called Turning Obstacles into Opportunities, right? So maybe this fell through, but maybe out of all of these 50 new members or new contacts that you have, whoever comes that first involvement fair, maybe they have personal connections to another organization, right? So you can always see who else has some potential and who else might have some connections that you might be able to utilize and make them feel part of that. Yeah, for sure. Does anybody else? I think one of the hardest parts, of course, is always setting up that local dance outreach partner who's gonna be there every week for you to go to. Does anybody have any suggestions on like how they've gone about building those relationships?
I have one.
Erin, go first, and then we'll come back to you, Jamie.
This one's kind of specific, but it might be helpful. There's like an organization called Dream Academy, and they have like different schools all over the country. So you might want to like look in to see if they have that in your city, because they're a really cool group to work with because they're already like super organized. Because I know that some places that we volunteered have been kind of frustrating because there's always different kids, and then like you don't really have much consistency. But they're really consistent, and then they work with the kids a lot, and the kids are really awesome. They come from like the neighborhood is not like great, but they hold the kids really like accountable. So they're like a really cool group to partner with. So if there's a Dream Academy near you, I highly suggest working with them.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Dream Academy is a great one. I know you guys have been working with them for a while. But now. Boys and Girls Club is another really popular one. Girls Inc. I think that's a couple other places. Yeah, Jamie. Where'd she go? Are you there? You're muted.
She gone.
She's gone. We can't hear you. Oh, there we go. Okay, now we can see you, but we can't hear you.
Yes, no, maybe so.
Ahora sí.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. Woo.
Yay!
My computer died, and then I switched to my phone, and then, yeah. But we partner with the Boys and Girls Club near us, and they actually flaked on us this year. So they, just for the first, so they had a new program coordinator take leadership, and they messed up the whole schedule. So we're only starting with them in the winter, but we're still gonna. But the other one that we have, I actually found through one of my classes. I was talking to like just a random person in my class, and she was like, yeah, like I work at a community center. So a lot of things that I didn't even think of is like community centers have a whole lot of space and a whole lot of nothing to do. So when we were like, hey, we can come teach a free dance class, they were like, oh my gosh, we've never even thought of that idea.
Yeah.
And loved it. So even like local community centers that aren't necessarily like renowned or like a big name or anything like that, like down the road type things, might work if anyone has anything like that near their schools.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah, that's a great one. Yeah, there's always like local things that aren't, maybe they're not like Boys and Girls Club, which is freaking everywhere. But maybe it's like a community center or a nursing home or like a child's daycare or an aftercare program, something like that. There's so many different options, and I'm exactly like Jamie was saying, like there's so many people who might have connections in other places.
In Bloomington, there's a place called the Middle Way House. I don't know if there are other organizations, if it's a chain or if there are other organizations that are similar to it, but it's a domestic violence shelter. And it houses for free or for cheap, at least temporarily, women and families who are like basically just leaving a unhealthy relationship or just got kicked out of their house or like had domestic violence in their house and needed to leave and something like that. But Dana Vanderberg has been working with them for over a year now, and they absolutely love it because these kids have been through trauma of some sort. So it is a little bit of a different environment from like Boys and Girls Club, where it's like, oh, dance club, it's a thing for fun, and you know, it's just like an activity. But at Middle Way House, they really, really strive for people who are going to continue to come, so that it's a familiar face every week, so that they can build these relationships with these kids who really need that.
Yeah.
So they're a group that really looks for consistent people and consistency in their schedule.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Can I jump in real quick too on that note? Yeah. We're brand new, so we're starting a partnership with a similar organization, and the one in Austin has like a charter school, so all the kids like go to school there, and some other I don't know who all goes to school there, but we're actually teaching during like PE. So you could also like suggest that to them if they don't have time for like after school or like to make time in their schedule. You could say, hey, we can come during PE, and like we're going I think twice a month during like PE time. So it'd be an easy way for them to like fit you in, I guess.
That's a great idea. I bet the gym teachers are just ecstatic.
So yeah, so you get to sit in the bleachers for an hour.
Yeah, no, that's a really great way to do it and kind of mutually beneficial in so many ways. And it's something consistent, 2 times a week where it's not necessarily, or 2 times a month, sorry, that's not like completely cutting into their curriculum, but also providing that opportunity for a dance class. That's really cool. Yeah, so Nikki, there's so many options out there, so don't get discouraged that maybe your partner fell off the face of the earth.
Yeah. Thank you for all the ideas.
Yeah. Okay, Miss Ray. You're muted.
Hi. I'm Ray. I'm the co-president at UCI / transitioning out now. And strength and weakness, sorry.
Yeah. Strength and weakness.
Our strength is that we just had 10 brand new people go on our exchange about 2 weeks ago, and a lot of them went and applied for executive board positions right after. So I feel like our retention level, combining like this year's exchange and the year before, is like pretty high for us. And that's been the hardest part. Like, we've had really, really involved people, but then when it comes to like working when we get back to school, it hasn't been consistent. And then our weakest point is definitely like local outreach and like doing things at school. We've been very like heavy on the exchange planning and everything, but it's been really hard to retain members just because like there's not much for other people, and that's our biggest point this year. And we also got flaked on by Boys and Girls Club, which is why I made a face earlier, because I'm super mad about it. But yeah, so currently we haven't even started school, so we just did positions, like we just had people apply and we're choosing them soon, and then we're working on starting local outreach classes, and we're kind of focusing on like at least getting one that we can really focus on and be consistent with. And I'm going through, Girls Inc. is one of them, but I'm going to try to go and work with a company that where the place that I work just did a partnership with them all summer. So I'm going to try to like be like, hi, work at Raw Yoga, and do you have dance classes for kids, basically. And we're looking at places for like children who are homeless, or like Human Options is what it's called, is a place for children who've had like domestic violence in their family, or even just like local foster care programs, because we feel like we've been doing a lot of like after school programs, which have been great, but we feel like we should try to look places that are like similar, I guess, to like what we do in Panama. And then I had one more thing to say, but I don't remember. So
cool. Well, I think UCI is a really great example of an organization, one of our chapters, who makes it an effort to come to Panama every single year and makes that their #1 priority. And I think, like you were talking about, with having those people go on the exchange and having them apply for those leadership positions is a really great test to like how important these exchanges are and how much they really show you what Movement Exchange is. I'm sure for anybody who was maybe involved with Movement Exchange before and then went on an exchange, they're like, oh yeah, like all of this makes sense now. And so, yeah, I encourage you guys, you know, we're really pushing for our chapters to attend an exchange year over year for so many different reasons, because we want as many people to experience this as possible. We want to provide as many classes to these kids down here. And it helps so much with that membership retention year over year, especially with those leadership boards, because people get so passionate about what Movement Exchange is. And I mean, I think with the local dance outreach, unless anybody else has any other advice, it's like, you know, you've got the ideas in your head, you know who to contact, and now it's just a matter of doing it, which is the hardest part, right? But it's also kind of like the easiest part, like, oh, I just have to send an email now.
Yep. Yeah.
So one thing I want to encourage you guys to do across your entire executive board is delegate, right? So if somebody's a local dance outreach coordinator, whatever, or maybe it's the vice president's job, set out your goals at the beginning of the semester. Say, okay, we want to go to Panama, we want to fundraise, we want to, you know, have those local dance service, whatever. Who's going to do it and why? Right? So not all of it falls on the president. And if somebody is slacking, then you know, like, okay, dude, like you're not doing your job because I know you had a clear job to do and it hasn't been done. Mm-hmm. So it creates these really clear lines of who's going to do it and how. And if it's not being done, you know exactly who to contact, who to talk to, and find out why it's not getting done.
Yeah.
So I encourage you guys, especially those of you who are chapter presidents, be really clear with who should be doing what within your organization, because that delegation is going to be really, really powerful within the next year. Any other advice from peeps or comments?
Help me.
Help me. No, I think you're on the right path with that one. Cool. Taylor, I think you hopped on right after I said this because you came on a little late, but you probably got the idea by now. But we're doing like a baby introduction, who you are, what chapter you are, what your position is, what's been going really well on your campus so far within your chapter, and what's been a struggle.
Okay. I'm Taylor. I'm from the University of Texas. I'm the chapter president. We're like a brand new baby chapter, so that's been fun. One thing that went really well is that I put out like applications to join the executive board like right before school started, and 7 people applied, and we took all 7 of them. There's like me and 2 other girls that kind of have been like working on it since last semester, I guess. So we added 4 more people. And that's been great. I like have been delegating things, and after our like social media person posted like her like first post of like her being in charge of the Instagram, I got a notification that was like, your most recent post is doing like 95% better than all your other posts. I was like, well, we know that I shouldn't be running the Instagram. She should be running the Instagram. So that was cool. We tabled at our like student org fair for like 7 hours last Wednesday, and we got 100 email addresses. So that was a lot. And then we had our like call out meetings. We had 2 of them, so people could like choose when was best for them. And I think like the first one we had last week, there was maybe like 8 people besides our like executive board that came, and I was a little bit discouraged because like out of 100 people that like we talked to yesterday, only 8 of them came. But then the one we had this Tuesday, there was probably like 20 people that came. So
Nice.
that was good. It's still kind of hard to gauge like who's gonna come back to our next meeting. You know, like it is really hard to tell like, did they seem really interested? Did they seem kind of like, oh, I don't really want to do this? It was kind of hard to tell. But one thing I did is like I made a Facebook group for all of our members to join. And so I sent out an email that was like, hey, join our Facebook group. So I think that'll be a good way to gauge. Like if people are interested in being more involved, they'll join the Facebook group. And if they're not, then they won't join the Facebook group, I guess.
Yeah.
And in the email that I just sent out, I was like, if you no longer want to receive emails from MoveX, like you can, you know, just email us back and we'll take you off the list. And only one person said they wanted to be taken off the list. So I guess that's also good. And we have actually a lot of like local outreach set up. So our first like class is going to be next Wednesday. Yay. It's at an elementary school. So
nice.
That as well.
That's all super exciting stuff. I love this idea of a Facebook group. It's probably, you can see how it goes. I don't know if any other chapters have done this. Like, I know you have your Facebook page, but then creating that group. And maybe that can be like where you post more specific things about like, hey, we're meeting at this time. Hey, like this post if you want to attend this event. Hey, yeah, I don't know, send me a picture of you to post on social media.
Right.
Hey, babe, send me a pic. I don't know, whatever you want to do. But just a really great way to communicate with people. And like you were saying, like a great way to gauge like who's actually part of it.
Yeah.
Jamie, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, we have a Facebook group, and something that Beth, I don't know if any of your chapter mentors is Beth, but something that Beth did last year that I'm hoping to add this year is like we used the Facebook group, and then after every meeting for the people who couldn't make it to the meeting, she posted like a summary of like everything that we talked about so that the people that weren't there still were updated about it but didn't like receive a bunch of different emails. Like she just posted a paragraph on the Facebook page after every meeting, and then everyone was up to date.
Yeah.
So that's something else that you could do with that.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. Yeah, I mean, I haven't done a lot with like making a Facebook group, but it seems like a really fantastic way to communicate with things. And people get bored with their emails, right? It's like, oh, another email, but you just get a Facebook notification, you quickly look at it, and maybe it's something that interests you. So that's a really great idea.
What I did with ours is that you can tie your group to a page. So like the owner of the Facebook group is our Movement Exchange page, not me personally. So whenever other people take over, they'll automatically, like people that are admins for the page are automatically admins for the group.
Nice.
So
nice.
I don't know how I made it that way, but it ended up that way.
That's awesome. That's super great. Heck yeah. Yay. What's been the hardest part?
Actually, getting the dance majors involved has been the hardest part because I'll be like, hey guys, like Movement Exchange, you guys have told me that you think this is a good idea. Like you guys should come to this like meeting we're having. You know, it's tonight at like 6, and they're like, well, I get out of rehearsal at 5, and I'm like, okay, so hang out for an hour, like do whatever you need to do, and then come at 6. They're like, but I could just go home, and I'm like, no, come to the meeting. But I don't want to put the meeting like any earlier because I know a lot of people are in class later, you know? So I'm like, I don't want to start any earlier than 6. Like, sorry guys, like you're just going to have to suck it up and come. And they're like, fine, I'll come. And they don't show up.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah, with that, it's always like, you know, if you don't want to force people to come because ultimately they're probably not going to stick around.
Mm-hmm.
But then of course you want to keep spreading the word. So maybe just keep talking about Movement Exchange, and maybe maybe somebody will connect with some sort of like different aspect of it. Maybe you show that video somewhere, or you post flyers, or you start talking more about the exchange, and it gets people excited, and that's a good way for them to get more involved.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important that you're not like, you know, scheduling them, trying to accommodate people that it's already visible to.
Mhm.
Like if your meetings, if you ask like your, you know, 7 people that are like super duper involved, okay, like what time works well for you? And they all give you super specific times, then you're not like, you know, saving space for all of the people who don't know about it and aren't like super committed yet. So it's really nice that you're like, this is the time of it. I'm not going to change it for you guys. Like I'm thinking about visibility of like my organization as a whole. So I like that you're doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And
another thing we did was we had it in a academic building, like not the dance building. We just like reserved a classroom. So I think that helped a lot too. I was like, if it had been in the dance building, like maybe the dance majors would have hung around and gone to it. But also like I see them every day. I talk to them every day. So it's like I'd rather like reach out to people that I don't know, you know? So
Exactly.
yeah.
Awesome.
Nice.
Well, keep up the great work, Taylor. I'm super excited for everything. Okay, last but not least, UC. Oh, I think you're still.
Can you hear me?
There we go. Yes, we can.
Okay, I am May from UC. I'm a first-year board member.
Nice.
We had a couple really great things for the start of the semester, and a part of that I think is because our president is really great at delegating. So, this year we set up a kind of a larger executive board to make the leadership transitions a little bit more smooth. So we're shadowing the leadership positions. And with that larger executive board, we've been getting a lot done already. One of those things is we do Boys and Girls Club. We were going every week last year, and we got that up and running immediately this year. So we're already doing that every week. And then one of the more difficult things has just been getting new members. For the ballet majors, for the first meeting, we had a lot of freshmen show up. Not as many as I wanted, but a lot of them. And for the second meeting, not that many of them came. And I'm not really sure why, because we have the meetings right after one of their classes lets out. And we actually kind of like stand there and be like, hey, like, you know, like come to the meeting. It's like right here in the studio, and we have food and everything.
Oh, they have food.
I know. I was like,
bring food.
Yeah.
Come.
So we advertised, you know, pretty well, but they don't really seem that interested this year, and I'm not sure why. And then with regards to non-dance majors, because I really wanted to push that this year, we had one non-major member last year, and she's on our executive board, and she just offers so much because she has other connections, and she's very enthusiastic. And we did the activities fair, and we got a lot of emails. And for our call-out meeting, one non-major showed up. And then for the second meeting, she didn't show up, but we have like 3 that are maybe interested by email, but none of them have come to a meeting yet. So that's probably the hardest thing that we've got going on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always hard. I mean, I think maybe if you do kind of continue on with like your recruitment methods and maybe get some more like non-major dance classes, I think going back to what Bella said of like having it in kind of a neutral space that's maybe not in the dance department, it makes it really convenient for dance majors. But if the freshmen aren't like super into it, maybe you try to get new members other ways. But at the same time, you know, maybe building those personal connections with freshmen. Are you a freshman or no?
No, I'm a second year. I'm a second year at UC, so no.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. So maybe, you know, maybe having your executive board, like try to make friends with some of the freshmen and bring up movement exchange in the conversation somehow, and maybe building those personal connections with freshmen. might be a good way to go about it.
I think another thing, this might sound a little shallow, but like, I feel like in dance departments, dance departments can get super cliquey, you know, and it's like, oh, if this isn't, you know, if you're a freshman and you don't see any, like, the cool kids, like, going to this meeting, you're like, oh, the cool kids aren't going, like, I don't want to go. So just, like, so, you know, maybe that's, like, paying more attention to, like, your presence on social media, like, making really cool posts that people are like, wow, like, this is cool. I want to be a part of this because this is, like, cool. Not, you know what I'm saying? So, like, giving it more of a, like, presence in your dance department as something that, like, people want to go to because it's fun and, like, you know, like, the group of girls is, or, you know, people is, like, very supportive. So, like, you go there and you have fun with each other and, like, so it's more of, like, a community rather than an organization. You know, it's, like, a fun, like, warm, inviting thing to be a part of.
Yeah.
Rather than an organization that, yeah, you have, like, requirements for and stuff.
Yeah, I want to poke my head in again.
Go for it.
I think that at IU it's gotten a lot better, but we used to have a lot of, not problems, but just like not nearly as many dance majors were interested in it. And I think it's related to the misunderstanding that Movement Exchange is another dance organization. And, oh, I'm already in the dance major, I'm already busy, and I'm already in this dance group. So, like, I can't, like, they don't want to have to choose one dance group over the other. But we're really trying to work hard to emphasize that we aren't, like, a performing group. We aren't your organization's competition. We're not going to be, like, having rehearsals or anything. So we try to emphasize that we're not performing group. We're just doing things because we like dance, and it's a lot less of a physical demand. And then we also like to emphasize that it's as much of a time commitment as you want it to be.
Yeah.
Because especially with dance majors, we all have crazy schedules and crazy lives. But if you don't want to do any of the workshops and only want to go to the meetings, that's fine with us. If you can only go to one of our workshops a week but also can't go to the meetings, if you still want to go to the workshops, that's fine. We're not going to, like, kick you out because you're volunteering but you can't come to the meetings. Like, we just want to emphasize that it's as much of a time commitment as you want it to be.
Yeah. And I think, kind of going off of that, one of the beautiful things about Movement Exchange is that it takes dance and puts it in a new light. So especially, you know, I know UC is super technique, performance heavy, right? And maybe you turn this into an opportunity as like, hey, you can try out your teaching skills, and you can talk about curriculum development, and you can travel and dance, and you can talk about dance and social impact. And that Movement Exchange redefines dance and says that, no, it's not just technique, it's not just movement. It plays a role into so many different things. It's culture, it's history, it's everything. And so maybe you can try to turn it in somehow like that, as like, you know, let's talk about dance in a new way and see what other possibilities are out there for the world of dance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a really good idea. I think inside of our meetings, we do a really good job with that, because I think that's why our members come back, is that it's kind of a step outside of our, like, technical, you know, strict ballet atmosphere and just doing dance because this is what we love to do. But I think maybe that is not being communicated to, I guess, the outside people that aren't members yet somehow.
Yeah. Yeah, so you can try that in your recruitment somehow, and the way that you're talking about Movement Exchange to other people.
Yeah, like your social media, just like your presence, like what's the aura of it, like what's the vibe, like what is thought of when people bring it up or whatever. So like your visibility.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
next, go ahead.
Sorry. And also the thing about what Adele was saying about just making it feel as more of like a community rather than an organization, I think is really important, because I feel like I have two different worlds of friends, with the dance majors who I see every day 24/7, and then I see movement exchange people, but I honestly get along with the movement exchange people a lot better, and it's just like, it's a closer relationship. We're talking about a deeper subject, a closer, things that are closer to our heart, not just we're talking about what happened in class that I missed or something like that. And you know, half the time in our meetings, like me and my co-president Alex, just when we were leaving our meeting today, just decided, I was like, hey, can we get ice cream before our meeting tomorrow? And we're like, yeah, let's make that a thing. So yeah, we just like to go out and eat ice cream a lot for our group. So it's just like, make it more of a community, especially because some of the people who aren't as involved with the local workshops or with the Panama workshops or anything, if they're only going to the meetings, it's not that fun to just go into a room at like 6 or 7 o'clock p.m. and everyone's talking about these workshops that you didn't go to or whatever for an hour, and then you go home again.
Yeah.
So like, just make them fun, make them more conversational, make them a community that you want to be a part of.
Yeah, absolutely. Building that community element of it.
Also, everyone likes ice cream.
Yeah, can say that again.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I had like a list of things that I wanted to make sure we touched on this webinar, and I'm really pleased because just through those amazing conversations that we had, and just by hearing about, you know, what's been going really well at on your campuses and what maybe has been a struggle, you guys touched on everything that I had to say, and more. So I want to thank you guys so much for sharing all of this with us, and I thought you were about to like.
I did.
With the withdrawal. So I just want to thank you guys for sharing all of that info with us. And I want to, especially, this is like my last final plug of the webinar, I want to encourage you guys to talk between each other. Say you have, maybe you're having some fundraising issues. Post on that chapter president's Facebook page, and if you're an executive board, you can talk to your president about this. We have a Facebook page, that's our Facebook group, that's just for chapter presidents. Post on there and be like, hey guys, I need some fun fundraising ideas, or hey guys, I need some cool recruitment ideas, or I'm having a problem with this, any suggestions? So you guys can kind of keep the conversation running with this. So I want to encourage you guys as much as possible to make use of each other, because we did not that much talking here. Like, it was a lot of your guys' ideas. So I want to encourage you guys to keep going with that. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you next time on the webinar.
Bye.
I'll be hosting the next webinar.
Woo! There we go. Alrighty, bye everyone.
Bye.